3-0 against New Zealand at home, 1-3 in favour of Australia in the Border Gavaskar Trophy that took place in Australia. A bad time for Indian cricket, specifically in the white jersey, and after that, a review meeting take place on the 11th of January at the BCCI headquarters. It's been a couple of days now since the review meeting took place, and after that, there have been several reports on many platforms about what exactly went down during that long review meeting that happened a couple of days back. Today in this video, I'm going to be taking you through the top 5 points that were debated and talked about during that review meeting that was held, in which there was Indian captain Rohit Sharma, head coach Gautam Gambhir, and selectors, with chief of selectors Ajit Agarkar also being part of that meeting. The first point that was talked about and has been reported several times now is that families will not be part of the tours anymore. This rule was already there in place till 2019. After that, we saw COVID coming in, and because of that, the rules had changed a bit. Families were allowed because of the quarantine rules and all of that. But seeing how the results have been now, the BCCI did talk about this during that meeting, that moving ahead in future through overseas tours or tours that are played at home as well, families shouldn't be allowed for the whole tour. If it's a long tour, it's going to be approximately 14 days when the families will be allowed, and if it's a short tour, then 7 days. What this did, according to the managers and what everyone on the table actually talked about, was that maybe because no players were spending time with the team, it was more about being with with their families, because the families were there for the whole Australian summer. Approximately more than a month was the duration when that tour lasted, and most of the players would have spent time with their families, and that would have been one reason why this decision would have been taken by the BCCI. So moving ahead, this is one thing that could change. I'm again telling you, it is not a final decision that has been taken as of now, but this is something that was talked about and could change as we go ahead. Maybe we could see a few changes in that when the Indian team goes to England for the 5-match test series over there. So this was point number one that was discussed. Moving on to the second point, and this was a longest debate in that meeting, as per reports are suggesting at this point, the vice captaincy debate. If it is Jasprit Bumrah who's going to take over the test captaincy after Rohit Sharma in the longest role, then one thing that we are very sure about is that workload management is something that is going to stay with Jasprit Bumrah. He will not be available for all the test matches. He will have to rest at home a few test matches. If it's the longest test series, maybe at times he will even have to rest. Injuries are also a thing that stay with Jasprit Bumrah. The kind of bowler he is, the kind of action he is. So if Jasprit Bumrah is the captain, you need to have a vice captain who, whenever Jasprit Bumrah is not there, steps up and leads the side from the front. There were two names thrown on the table. One name from the head coach, that was of Yashasvi Jaiswal. Yashasvi Jaiswal is preferred by Gautam Gambhir as of now, what reports suggest. Again, I'm telling you, these are not, we cannot be sure about what things, was this the case or not, but this is what reports suggest at least. And the chief selector and the selectors were in favor of having Rishabh Pant as the vice captain. Two names, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Rishabh Pant, when Jasprit Bumrah would not be available. Either one of them will have to lead the team, maybe for a full test match, at times in between a test match, or at times even more than one test match on couple of occasions. So whoever it is going to be a foolproof plan, because that person will definitely become test captain in the years to come for the Indian team, and also should be capable enough at this point, not just for the future, at this point as well, to take the reins of the Indian cricket team, to be able to handle the Indian test team with taking everyone together. So this debate was between Gautam Gambhir and the selectors, where selectors are still in favor of going ahead with Rishabh Pant, whereas the head coach thinks that it should be Yashasvi Jaiswal, being a youngster who should be groomed as that captaincy role ahead. But is Yashasvi Jaiswal right now, is it the right time to give Yashasvi Jaiswal the captaincy? If you see in the England series, after the England series or in the England series, if Jasprit Bumrah is to rest for a test match, Is Yashasvi Jaiswal the right person to give captaincy at this point, who's still at a very young stage of his career? He's still blooming. He's still a lot to prove. He's definitely had a dream start, and this is exactly what he will want to move ahead. But is it the right time? That is something maybe the selectors would not have thought about as of now. Moving ahead, the third point, and this was taking in account the Indian coach. The Indian head coach, as per reports suggest, was there at the during the Australian tour with his manager all throughout. Gaurav Arora. He was there with Gautam Gambhir, stayed in the same team hotel, at times traveled with the team as well in the team bus or the buses that take the families to the stadium. He was seen there, and that is something that has not gone down well with the BCCI. They have said it in very clear terms that this has never happened in Indian cricket, that a head coach's manager, personal manager, has been traveling with the team, has been sitting in the VIP box, and this is something that the BCCI has said that is not going to carry forward moving ahead. This is not going to be the case. This will not be allowed in the Indian dressing room with the team. He will not be seen in the VIP box or in the team hotel as well. If he wants to travel, he can travel on his own, but it's not going to be the case that he is traveling at the expense of the team. So this is another thing that hasn't gone down well with the BCCI, and Gautam Gambhir will have to see and will have to change this thing, because the BCCI is definitely going to take a strong stance on that. Moving ahead, and this point seems to be a little odd, because it was just a suggestion in the meeting that there should be a pay cut for the Indian cricketers, so that the accountability is increased, and also there is more player are more responsible towards that. I don't know how well will this be taken by the players, but this is definitely not something that's going to stay. That's not going to happen. This was definitely discussed in the meeting, like you see in the corporate world, but will that be applicable in the Indian team? Because players, I don't think it's about the money, it's about the passion and the pride they carry for playing for the Indian team. So I don't think any player deliberately sort of does not perform well, so that and they will now not do that because it goes down to their pay cut. So this was another thing that was talked about in the review meeting. Moving ahead to the final point, and this is something that's been there in Indian cricket since a very, very long time. Players will have to travel with the team in the team bus. That was something we just did not see in Australia. We have seen it in India as well, that players who stay in the same city go to the venue on their own and do not travel in the team bus, but that is about to change. The BCCI had made it very clear that the team players will have to travel with the team in the team bus. It's not going to be that everyone is traveling alone, everyone is traveling on their own. That is something that's not going to stay in this team. That's not how the team culture should be. We saw, even heard in reports in Australia, that players were traveling on their own from venue to venue, and that is something that is not going to be there. And the BCCI has made it very clear that moving ahead, that all the players, no matter how senior the player is, they will have to travel in the team bus. That is something that will be not negotiable, even if you're the captain of the side or whatever stature you have in Indian cricket. There were many other things, like there's a report going doing the rounds that all the luggage that is 150 kgs above per player, the extra luggage amount that you have to give to the franchise, to the airline, that wouldn't be given by the BCCI now. Till now, it was the BCCI who was paying money for the overweight luggage. That's not going to be the case now. The player himself will have to pay that amount as well. This is something that's seemed very, very a low sort of a thing to discuss in a meeting, and if this is true, then it's definitely not good signs for Indian cricket, because that doesn't look good, especially with the board that is not one of the richest board in world cricket as of now. These were the key takeaways from the BCCI's review meeting after a terrible time the Indian team has been having, especially with the red ball, and seeing that times ahead are going to be difficult. This transitional phase, you even have the ICC Champions Trophy not too far away from now. These were the key takeaways, like I told you. But for now, that is it from this video. You can let us know in the comment section below that what do you think was the most important out of the 5 points that I just mentioned. And for more such content, do not forget to subscribe to Sports Today to Sports Today if you haven't already. And also do not forget to press the bell icon as well, so that as soon as we are live or there's some interesting video for you, you get the notification first up.